I don't recommend going from, hey, we need new patients straight to external marketing until you have built a really great foundation within the low-hanging fruit that you already have. So we call it the 3 R's, which is referrals, reviews, and reactivation.
This is Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast, where we ask the question, what does growth in dentistry mean to you? I'm Steve Jensen, a dated dental nerd and your host.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Growth in Dentistry podcast. Now, I'm super excited for today's conversation. I know I say that every time, but this one, I really am. We have not talked about the topic we are going to hit today with a single guest yet on the podcast. So definitely make sure you stay tuned for this one because it's going to be a fun and very eye-opening ride. Now, before I jump in and introduce our guest and the topic, a huge shout out to the marketing team at Dental Intelligence for sponsoring this podcast week after week. A lot of work goes into producing this, and I'm super grateful for their team for doing all the back end work. I just get to come on here, talk to cool people, and then I forget about what happens after that. So, huge shout out to them for sponsoring the podcast in that way. As always, the Dental Intelligence team has an offering for listeners to check out Dental Intelligence. So, if you've never checked out Dental Intelligence, this is your first time listening, or if it's been a while since you've checked it out, they released some super cool new features. One I'll highlight right now is they released scorecards, and you may have heard me say that before, but scorecards allows you to take basically any metric you can think of from the practice management software and create your own dashboard with only the metrics that you want to look at that are important to you right now, so you can see them. And if you're a multi-location, you can see different locations all in one place as well. Now, the real thing I'm going to highlight that's super cool, AI is all the buzz. And in scorecards, there's a little robot icon that got added. And a lot of people didn't realize it got added. But the little robot is actually an AI interface. So if you click on it, you can talk to an AI robot. I don't know if we want to call it that, but you can talk to AI and ask it any question you want about your data. So if you're not a super big data person and you don't want to look at that scorecard spreadsheet looking report, you can just say, hey, I want to see a provider report. And you can ask it, hey, last quarter, which providers hit their goals and which ones didn't? And it will just tell you. Or, hey, last quarter, which providers had the best case acceptance and which ones could I maybe focus on from a training perspective? Boom, it will just tell you. Or if you're a hygienist and you're like, hey, I don't know what any of this stuff means. Can you help me understand what this stuff means, where I did well, and where I might be struggling that a practice owner might be concerned about so that I can work on it on my own? Boom, it will tell you. So it's super cool. The power of AI is real. So definitely, if you have not checked it out, check that out. Okay, that was a long-winded intro. But now I want to jump in and introduce Sara Hansen from Phoenix Dental Agency, which is powered by Productive Dentist Academy. So maybe you've only heard of PDA, Productive Dentist Academy, but she has been there for the last 6 years. She does marketing consulting specifically, but she's been in dental for 25 plus years. I don't know that she wanted me to say that. She feels like it ages her, but she knows what she's doing. She's been in dental for a long time. She's been in the practice and has just a huge depth of knowledge to share. Couldn't be more excited to have you on. So, Sara, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too. So, Sara, first, just so people can get to know you, and then we'll talk about, I'll kind of introduce some of the problems we're seeing for folks that are
Yeah,
wondering. We're not going to talk about marketing in a traditional sense today. We're going to talk
yeah.
about a gold mine of opportunity that doesn't require you spend $1 in paid ads or $1, like nothing that way. We're not talking about SEO. We're not talking about Facebook marketing today. We're going to talk about how to grow the business in a very organic way. But before we get to that, Sara, why did you get into dentistry? Like, what drew you in the first place, and how did you end up doing marketing consulting?
Yeah, what's interesting is I had big plans to actually be in the fashion industry.
Okay.
And I went on a college tour. I completed 1 year in fashion merchandising,
Uh,
went on a college tour. I was going to switch colleges, and I saw the dental program. And for some reason, it sparked some curiosity in me. And I started looking a little further and decided that, my end goal, I wanted to be a mother and a wife one day. And I thought dentistry would probably align with that. As you all know, dentistry sucks you in. And so I definitely got sucked in and I have not been able to get out. And I don't want to get out now. I love it. It's part of me. But I definitely have been drawn to specifically dental marketing because everything is marketing. And unfortunately, dentists have the hard job of not only being clinicians, but being business owners and marketers and HR directors. And, there's not a lot of support for dentists within dental marketing. And, really, there's so much that we can do to help them. And being in office myself for so many years, I've been where they are. And so I love to be able to work with the teams and the dentists to be able to provide what they're looking for.
Yeah, I love that. Now let me tell you guys what you can sense this excitement from Sarah. She's clearly passionate about what she does. Let me tell you what made me say like, hey, we have to talk about what you're doing here. So in dental intelligence, a couple of things I just want to highlight that I have happened to me all the time. So number one, a practice will get connected to dental intelligence, and I'll show them their active patient number, which just so everyone knows, we define that as patients who have had an appointment completed in the last 18 months. And I'll show them that number. Call it, I don't know, 900 active patients, one doc, two hygienists. And the doctor will be like, no way. I can go pull a report in EagleSoft or Dentrix, Urban Dental, and I have like 3,000, 4,000 patients marked as active, which is true. He does have that many marked as active. And we find this gap where we realize, oh, wow, the doctor realizes I have had all these patients, 4,000, 3,000 patients flow through my business. But as of today, really only 900 of them are actively coming back. So we expose kind of this opportunity to say, hey, like, where are all of these patients? And what can we do to get them to come back? That's one thing we're going to talk about. Another place that I discover kind of a similar like gut check that doctors feel are like, ah, crap, I do not like seeing that number, is we'll then isolate and say, okay, of those 900 that are scheduled to come back, or those 900 patients who have been seen in the last 18 months, how many of them are scheduled to come back? And an average practice only has about half of their patients scheduled for the future. So then the doctor will see, oh, dang it, I only have 450 patients scheduled in the future. And that also makes them feel a little sick because then they start thinking, dang it, I'm gonna have to go spend thousands and thousands of dollars and crank up my new patient marketing efforts. Let me call those guys and
Mhm.
tell them like, they can start spending a couple thousand more a month in ads and it can feel really burdensome. So today I brought Sarah on because she was sharing with
Yeah.
me some of the successes they're having with dental practices with
Yeah.
it's not new, I don't want to say, but it's definitely not one that gets the airtime that traditional
Yeah.
marketing gets that I think deserves probably way more airtime than we deserve. So, Sarah, do you want to introduce kind of the concept of how you're thinking about solving these problems? How in the world could I go
Yeah.
get a bunch of patients? How could I make my schedule chock full with patients
Yeah.
having to spend a crap ton in, paid ads?
Yeah. Yeah. So exactly what you just said, Stephen, but there's also one really cool metric that you're forgetting that we look at in dental intel as well, which is what is the treatment value of those inactive or those active but unscheduled patients. Now, everything that we do when it comes to a marketing strategy, we
Which, hey,
always
I just
have
want to call
data,
out that's probably like millions of dollars. I don't think
millions.
I like don't think
Yeah,
I do
no,
that very often, but it's probably millions. I like want to go.
yeah.
I went to the dashboard. I'm not going to do it. I went to go pull up a practice and just see like what a one dot two hygiene practice is, but it's probably just millions and millions and millions of dollars
Yes,
with
I will tell you
hundreds or
yeah,
thousands of patients. Yeah.
you're exactly right. The average dental practice sits on at least a half million to $1 million of unscheduled treatment.
Okay.
It's insane. So, and how we utilize that number when it comes to marketing strategy is one, I am never going to suggest a marketing strategy without the data to back it up. So, for example, when doctors are thinking about how do I grow my practice? How do I make us successful? How do I fill the chairs, right? Well, do you have capacity to fill the chairs? So we utilize a lot of metrics that we get from dental intel and from engagement to be able to create a strategy. So one, what's your patient value? So for
Yep.
example, if you have a patient value that let's say is $2,000 and you have capacity to see X amount of patients, but you need to grow a certain amount. If I say to you, if I back step into it and say, hey, you want to grow $500,000 this year, your patient value is X, but you only have room to accommodate 20 new patients, that's a problem. So we have to come up with other ways to grow the practice. That's where internal marketing comes in. So maybe you don't have capacity to see new patients, or you don't want to create more chaos for your team and the practice, but you are sitting on, as we just established, potentially $1 million worth of unscheduled treatment. So this isn't new. It's just most doctors and teams think about when it comes to marketing, we think about those external strategies. And while those are important, what we know about them is that there is a cost of acquisition to all of that. And so we have a philosophy at Phoenix Dental Agency of we really market from the inside out. I don't recommend going from, hey, we need new patients straight to external marketing until you have built a really great foundation within the low hanging fruit that you already have. So we call it the 3 R's, which is referrals, reviews, and reactivation. When it comes to re-engagement, we use a ton of tools to get the results that we're actually looking for. There is a strategy that's involved. Coming from the dental practice, I was the one who picked up the phone and had to make the phone calls. And if there's any team member that's had that job, they know how awful it is. And we also know it's not super effective. So we've actually come up with really great strategies on how to actually make it effective for the doctors and the teams.
Now, one thing I want to drill in on, and I want to make sure because you'll just like spout this like these bits of knowledge, and I like want to pump the brakes and be like, people, did you just hear what she said? So I like the foundation. You said one, you said those 3 R's, which are say them again:
Mm-hmm. Reviews,
use,
referrals,
referrals, and
and re-engagement.
re-engagement, which that's kind of the one that
Yep.
I think we'll end up focusing on. But I like that you said the foundation
Yeah.
of the first two of reviews and of customer referrals because
Yep.
not only will these help you get patients that are unscheduled back into the practice, but I'm also
Yeah.
thinking it's also so genius because if I do get to the point where I'm in a situation where it's like, no, we kind of have worked through our patient records base inside of Dentrix Eagle Supplement Dental. If I go start
Yeah.
spending dollars on getting actual like new patients into the business, if I have that foundation, that system built really
Yes.
strongly, then I will retain
Yes.
more of my new patients. I'll get more
Yes.
work done with my new patients. So I like the way you're thinking about
Yes.
the problem. Like, how do we solve kind of the full marketing umbrella and make sure we
Yes.
maximize the outcome? So I just want people to hear that. We're going to focus on
Yeah.
that re-engage one. But
Yes.
just hear that the systems that Sarah's talking about will also impact these other areas that you probably might be thinking about
Yeah.
implementing in the business.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to pay for an external marketing strategy to then have the patient come in maybe one, maybe two times and then go right out the door, right? We call
Yep.
that like the revolving door of patients. That's not effective. To have a really robust, effective marketing strategy ultimately is from the time they see your presence, your brand, who you are, their entire patient journey through the practice to them becoming a loyal lifetime patient. That really is the full marketing strategy. So, what we like to create is how do we make a really beautiful, cohesive external strategy and internal strategy to create, a lifetime loyal patient that will continue to refer their friends and family. We don't want to pay for all this external advertising that then they come in one or two times and again that revolving door continues and you're never building up your patient base because you're losing more patients than you're actually attracting. So,
Mhm. Okay,
yeah.
now let's also, I'll just say this. People have heard me say this before. I like sometimes to just say that new patients are the worst. They're the least likely to schedule, they're the least likely to schedule the next
Yeah.
appointment. They're the least likely
Yeah.
to say yes to treatment statistically. Like all the things that
Yeah.
doctors really like love and want from patients, the new patients,
Yeah.
they're the most likely to cancel or no show. Now, we need them. And so many of them really are great. And some of the things I said can probably be bridged with better systems for sure. But existing patients, people who have visited us, especially more than once, like they've gotten to the point where we've diagnosed treatment. So this group that you're talking about, Sarah, we've diagnosed treatment
Mm-hmm.
with them. We've had enough of an interaction to do that. if we can get them back in, they're the more likely ones to actually say yes to that treatment. So can you talk?
Yeah,
So I don't know if you want to like go a story route, but can you kind of talk through when you start working with the practice, how do you think about solving this reactivation problem? They've got all these patients,
yeah,
they're unscheduled. We want to get them
yeah,
back on the books. My team's busy, so like,
yeah,
do I need to go like carve out time to have them call everyone? Like, yeah, how do you think about this
yeah.
system of re-engagement?
Yeah. So you're exactly right. What you were saying is those patients that have already been to our practice, they're already more loyal and more trusting of what we're doing because we have a relationship established with them already. But what we know is that for some reason, there was something in the patient journey that didn't connect with them. They didn't say yes, right? So within that patient journey, we're now trying to reconnect with them. So what we do is first, we're going to step back just a little bit. Every client that we work with, we want to know what their goals are, what their passion is, and really what kind of dentistry they want to practice. Once we understand that, that gives us a really good idea of how we're going to customize language to that practice. So, for example, if we have a practice that is really big about cosmetic dentistry, one of the practices that I work with, she loves to change smiles. Her target demographic is middle-aged women, so a lot of times with her, she had a lot of treatment that previously they didn't have a lot of financial solutions within their office. Since that time, she is working with third party vendors to offer financial solutions. So, a lot of the customized messaging that we created for her is hey, you may thought that it wasn't an option for you, right? But guess what? We have financial options to work within your budget. We understand what it's like to not have money just lying around, but we understand that this is an important investment. So first it's about who we want to attract. Once we know that, then we come up with a strategy. So if our strategy is to really get back into the practice, specific services, then we target those. If there's a doctor that really wants to hit a lot of implants for the year, he has goals to do certain cases, right? Then we will hit every single patient that's had consultations for missing teeth. Maybe we've extracted teeth, anything like that. And what's great is you can customize the dental codes. You can reach out to those patients through customized messaging, all that sort of stuff. And then we know that phone calls don't really work, right? Like, I don't know about you, but if there's ever a number, I don't answer it if I
No,
don't know who it is.
unknown goes to
Yeah,
voicemail.
it
And if they don't
goes to
leave me a
voicemail.
voicemail, if they don't
Yeah,
leave me a
then it's like,
voicemail or text,
sorry, it's
yeah.
not that important. Yeah. So, but what we do is we send customized text messages and emails along with a series of videos, that the doctor can create. And that has been incredibly powerful because again, it's all customized. It's not your typical, hey, you're past due for treatment, give us a call, right? But we tell a story, and that is really the most powerful part of the marketing is what story are we telling that aligns with the practice's core values and mission, right? How do they show up for patients? And when you can tie that custom messaging into what the patients are looking for, you're talking about the solutions that you have for them. Hey, we're always here for you. Don't let treatment, pass or time passes you by. Don't let your treatment wait. That's powerful messaging. And what's crazy is you make it easy for a patient. So have click linking, where they can just click a button and schedule an appointment, or they can text back and schedule an appointment. The success of these campaigns have been absolutely amazing for these practices.
Yeah, so do you mind actually like I don't know if you have like any stories. I like want to hear as I'm listening, I just think,
Yeah,
and I also want people to hear too. If you were sitting there thinking, wait, like how do I go find all of my patients who are unscheduled that I've diagnosed crowns on or that
yeah,
I've,
yeah,
diagnosed
yeah,
ortho codes on or have built out a console code. It could even be a custom code. As long as there's
yeah,
a code that you know what it is that
yeah,
you've put on treatment plans in the past that is,
yeah,
I'll just call it out for people that don't know. She's using dental intelligence to go do that. You're going to
yeah,
struggle
yeah,
to try to get, these data points out of just the practice management
yeah.
software, out of patient finder.
Yeah, we are. So what we kind of found, you learn stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so what we found is that for years we've been talking about the importance of internal marketing. But
Yeah.
again, me coming from the dental industry, I know how crazy and chaotic the office is. I know that the team members are like, Sarah, don't give us another thing to do. And so while I'm in their office telling them like, hey, you guys, this is important. We need to focus on this. I also am very aware that that is the last thing that happens, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're just making the practice function every day and taking care of the patients that are right in front of them, and they should. So,
Yeah.
what we did at Phoenix is something that really no one else is doing, which is because we love dental intelligence and engagement, what we actually do is we get logins to their engagement. And what we found is that us going in and actually creating filters, which has like been a game changer within their email campaigns. So we can filter codes, providers, inactive patients, the timeline. We can do, the cost of treatment. So let's say we want to focus on bigger patient treatment plans. So
Yeah,
we
that's a
create the
good call
total.
out. That's a good call
Yep.
out. The ones that like, hey, I wasn't like, I didn't offer financing. I know I wasn't doing that. Like
Yes.
that's one of those good call outs.
Yes.
Like, hey, like just
Yes.
letting people know payment options might be a good
Yeah.
campaign there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we can focus all of that. Then we create the custom messaging. Everything is branded to that practice. Again, the custom language that's in there, and then we send it out. But then the greatest part about it, because again, I want to show our clients like, hey, we're going to do this thing for you and here's the value, right? I want them
The
to be able to
results.
see, yeah, exactly. Here's the results. Here's the value for what we're doing. So for example, one of the offices, their name is Clarksburg. And the first month, so the first 30 days, we got to log into their engagement. The first 30 days, $43,000 was put back in their practice of production and with one text and one email. $43,000. And it cost them like nothing, right? So again, those numbers are crazy. But what's great is now the OM's calling us and she's like, this is awesome because she's not making those phone calls, right? That's wasting 2 hours of her time. And so what's awesome is it's like we work hand in hand with the practice where they give us parameters. We set up a strategy quarter by quarter, based on what their goals are. We send out the messaging. They see everything that's coming through. We then track it all, send them the results so they see it, and then celebrations around. And so it's really awesome because, again, these doctors now are not spending thousands and thousands of dollars on external marketing. They are investing within their own practice and growing the practice the way that they want it and reinvesting back in their current patients. And so for them, with their marketing strategy, it's exactly what they wanted. Now, there are doctors that want to do, streaming commercials and different things, and there's a place for that. But I would say every single doctor should have a very robust internal marketing strategy, period. Like, there's no reason why every doctor should not have this.
Yeah, it just seems to me like it's just like that like advanced. Well, actually, it's not even advanced. This should be like the basic way we think about serving our patients and making sure
Yeah.
we're following care all the way through. It's
Yes.
so interesting.
Yes.
I love the way you're talking. I want people to hear this because what I don't want you to take out of this is okay. I'm just gonna go like spray and pray to a list of like 2,000 patients we haven't seen in a long time. I was listening to. I'm a
Yeah.
podcast nerd, so I was listening to just kind of this like general sales marketing software podcast called SaaStr. I was listening to a podcast this morning with the CEO of HubSpot, which does like CRM and marketing stuff, and she was talking about how like the days of like spray and pray marketing are dying. Like people are in order to because there's so much white noise. In order for your
Yeah.
message to get people's attention, today it has to be increasingly personalized where you have to
Yes.
like anticipate like okay, like why did this customer or potential customer want to engage with me in the past and try to come up with like clear reasons why I want to reach out to them and what I'm going to say to get their attention. So like Sarah said, what we're not doing here is sending out messages that just say, "Hey, like we diagnosed
Yeah.
some like unspoken treatment in you in the past and if it's not done, come on back." Like what
Yeah.
you're talking about doing, Sarah, which I think is so brilliant and needed, is for this system to be
Mhm.
successful, is that conversation you're having with the doctor and team to say, okay, where do we want to focus? And then you're actually going
Yep.
through the patient database to say, okay, like you just
Yeah.
said, that one dentist example you gave was like, hey, like let's go find all of that target audience, middle-aged women that have undiagnosed treatment, and maybe even specific types of
Yep.
of uncompleted treatment, where we know like
Yep.
we're coming in for these reasons, and then we're going to tailor messaging that's going to resonate
Yep.
with them, and that's going to be different than messaging to maybe moms or dads or guardians with children who aren't
Yep.
scheduled for hygiene. Like that might be a
Yep.
little more generic in that case. But
Yep.
anyway, I just want people
Yep.
to hear that what Sarah and the team are doing is like, anyway, it's just so good. Like I think it's right on
Yeah.
par with the
Yeah.
messaging that needs to exist today in order
Yeah.
for it to be successful.
Yeah. Well, and what's cool is again, it's like, you may have maybe you're getting ready to hire a new hygienist and you're trying to beef up your hygiene schedule. So
Mm.
we can focus hard on, past due continuing care visits, or maybe your hygiene is so overflowing and the doctor's schedules are slower. So, hey, we can beef up treatment, right? So, again, what's so great is you really can focus wherever you need to focus based on the needs of the practice. But it really is about, us coming in and owning that piece for the team
Yeah.
has been life changing for these teams because now they're getting the growth and the results that they need without the team having to do a lot. Now, granted, the team still needs to ask for the internal referrals and the reviews, but we're taking a piece off of them that still it helps them. Like now we're their true partners in all of this. We're putting a software into their practice that they can see the results, they can use the communication. It's making it easy for the patient, easy for us to communicate, easy for them. And now it's just like this perfect combination of success for these campaigns that I think has been a missing piece. And it really is changing dental practices across the country. It's been incredible.
Now, I'm going to ask maybe a more like granular detailed question. So, I think I've got this concept where we are filtering patients and segmenting, creating like customized
Yeah.
kind of almost like tracks of messaging to get these
Yeah.
unscheduled patients back. You're setting up those campaigns, you're sending them out, and then you can see the success of those campaigns. Like, okay, our patients
Yep.
opening it, which patients have opened it, which ones
Yep.
haven't, and you can send additional messages if you want.
Yep.
Can you
Yep.
walk me through? So let's say we got their attention. Where are we
Yeah.
scheduling them into the actual schedule? So where are you seeing success? Like, are we trying to get these unscheduled patients like back to see a hygienist, and then we're doing kind of another exam to revisit the treatment there? Are we getting them straight into like a doctor chair for like a consult or like a comp exam? Like, tell me, because that makes sense. Like, can you
Yeah.
take me through some of
Yeah.
the nitty-gritty a little bit of like, okay, like what's our
Yeah.
target call to action, and what kind of an appointment are we getting
Yeah.
them back for?
Yeah, so it just depends on the practice. So, for
Okay.
example, we have practices that literally the treatment is put back in the doctor's schedule. And what we do is so we cross reference everything with their practice software, dental intelligence, and analytics and engagement. So,
Well,
what's great is on our spreadsheets that we share with the clients, you can actually see the potential treatment and the date that they scheduled and the patient. So the teams are prepared for the patients that are coming back in, when they're coming back in, and then we're monitoring all of that as well. So it just depends. Sometimes it is just a hygiene visit, other times it's a consultation, or it's actual treatment that's already been treatment planned, they just didn't schedule.
let's see.
So it really is a combination of all of them, depending on what the practice is looking for and what our strategy is.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I'm thinking like
Yeah.
maybe I'm diving in deeper than I need to. I'm just thinking like strategically. Okay, like for the patients that are, it's been like over 12 months since I diagnosed. We
Yes.
haven't seen them. Those ones I
Yes.
probably don't want to just show up on my clinical schedule
Nope.
because it could have gotten
Nope.
worse. They could have,
Yep, yep,
you know,
exactly. Yep, exactly. So again, that's where those filters come in,
cool.
right? Of how long has it been since they've been seen? When
Right.
was their last visit? What was their last visit? So again, those filters have been really critical to what we do to be able to kind of weed out what that looks like. But it's also been super helpful because as we send out even, email drip campaigns, right? So for promotional purposes for the practice, we do the same thing. We can target by, the codes that they've been in for past due treatment, all that kind of stuff. So it's been really cool to be able to use the different features of the filter system for those patients.
Yeah, and I think this is great. Part of the reason why I'm pressing on it is because I was sitting there thinking like, oh, this is so simple. Like if I had a practice, like no offense, Sarah, it's like maybe I'll just try to hack this on my own. But then I started to realize
Yeah.
like, oh no, like if the team doesn't think through some of these nuances of like, hey, where does the patient
Yeah.
actually land on my schedule, then I can start creating some problems for myself. So
Yeah.
having someone like you who like has done it, who like would
Yeah.
call someone out and it's like, oh no, let's not send a direct to doctor message for that like really old treatment. Let's focus on
Yeah.
maybe a hygiene call to action because they're also due for hygiene. But tailor the
Yeah.
message to what we know they were coming to us for in the first place. Like I think that's so
Yeah.
helpful to have someone like you that can help kind of
Yeah.
segment out these tracks to make sure that we're as
Yeah.
successful as we can be with our messaging and so that our
Yeah.
schedule stays like as
Yeah.
impactful as
Yeah.
possible.
Well, so I'll pose a question to you, Stephen. If I could say to you, hey, Stephen, if I could get you like a 20 to 1 ROI on a campaign and you don't have to do much, right? Or I could teach you and you could do it yourself, but you're going to have to do all the work yourself.
Yeah.
What
Like
would you choose?
just do it. Yeah,
Right,
for sure.
right. See, so that's the thing is it's like, yes, can teams do it? Absolutely. And we do
Yeah.
help teams do it every day. But then there's also a part that's like, hey,
They're
we
so
get it. We
busy.
are so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Busy,
that's where
busy.
it's like, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
where we really discovered that while we know this has been important, again, this isn't new. Like, this isn't like, oh, wow, this is something new. We've been talking about this in dentistry for 25 years, right? But what we discovered is when we can actually take this over for the team, this part of it, and own it through different platforms, because up until now, there really has not been a platform that could actually do this for us, right? So when we discovered that with engagement, we can actually send it and track it, that was our biggest thing is being able to track the results. Now it's like, oh, wow, like we have something here that they've been asking for, and that, hey, like we can now do this for you, take it off your plate. Yes, we still need your involvement for specific things, but like let us do the heavy lifting. We just get to share the results with you, and then you get to see the growth of the practice and not have to do much, and that's where we love coming in to help support teams that way.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'm assuming based off of just my experience. I've talked with, thousands of dentists, probably hundreds of pediatric dentists and some specialists. And it seems like
Yeah.
pediatric offices, surprisingly, like I feel like those ones have a pretty good grasp on internal marketing. But general dental
Yeah.
practices, there's probably some, I don't know, maybe 10% I think would be like generous of them, maybe have like an okay grasp on internal marketing, but I would say most of them, they just don't really think about it. Like they're just so busy
Yeah.
trying to just keep the schedule full and to keep, like payments coming in and treatment
Yeah.
being pushed through that like it's just so easy to miss a lot of the brilliance of these internal marketing efforts. So Sarah, I can't
Yeah.
believe the time. We're already like almost at the end of this. This has been so interesting. I guarantee that people are
Yeah.
saying, like, I'm sure your wheels are turning, think like, okay, like how can I start doing this? Um, uh,
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm gonna ask you this now and then ask you the last question for the podcast. But for folks that want to get
Yeah.
in touch with you guys, what's the easiest way? Is it phoenixdentalagency.com?
Yeah.
What's
Yep.
the website?
Yep. Yep. PhoenixDentalAgency.com.
Okay.
You can even email me, Sarah, Sara, no H, just Sarah,
Good call out.
Sara at PhoenixDentalAgency.com. And yeah, you can find us online. I'm on all the platforms. Of course, I'm a marketer.
Uh-huh.
Our sister company, Productive Dentist Academy, we're attached to them as well. So yeah, I'd love to have this conversation with anybody. So again, I am passionate about helping doctors and teams, and I'd love to just, meet with anybody. So
Well,
yeah,
thank you. And then I always ask the same question, and I'll put those in the show notes. So the website, Sarah's
yeah.
email. I always ask the same last question to every guest, Sarah, and that is, what does growth in dentistry mean to you? I'd love to hear your answer to that.
Growth in dentistry to me means the doctor is showing up to work and the team feeling joy in what they do, transforming the lives of patients, and getting something back for that. Like I feel like At dentistry as a whole is so undervalued. We take our health so seriously, and for some reason in dentistry we don't. I'm like, no, dental is just as important. And so, what we do in dentistry truly transform lives, and I'm such an advocate for that. And so, I see that growth in dentistry as the patients seeing that, the doctors and the teams acknowledging how powerful that is, and all of them just feeling joy doing what they are good at and what brings them joy in life.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Both like on the dentist can take away arguably one of the biggest pains. I saw a funny
Yeah,
comedian the other day was making a video. He's a dentist and he's like,
yeah.
look, he's like I've like he's like women will say like, oh man, like having a baby is like the most painful thing ever. And he's like, but he's like there are so many things like stubbing your toe or paper cuts and people will like talk about those being the worst pain. And he's like, but I think
Yeah.
when you go look at the actual studies, people say like their biggest fear, dentists. So clearly, like
Yeah.
people don't like dental pain. And he said he just made the
Yeah.
comment that he's even had mothers that will say like, honestly, I'd rather have a baby before having this in my mouth again. Like it hurts so bad. So taking
Yeah.
away pain is huge. But then also,
Yeah.
personally, I've had my life changed just by getting some adult orthodontia, a little bit of whitening,
Yes.
like getting that
Yes.
confidence and smile and just feeling great, like is just so cool. It
Yeah.
can be so
No,
transformative. So
yeah, it really is. Like dentists every day take patients from low self-esteem and all these things to like truly like changing
yeah.
their lives. And I just don't think it's talked about enough. And so that's what I do, right? That's my job. I get to tell those stories through marketing and I love it. So I'm
And
a lucky
and you
girl.
get to help them bring those patients that need the help back. So that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sarah,
exactly.
it has been a
Yeah.
gift to have you on. You're incredible. What you're
Yeah.
doing
Thank
is
you.
so helpful for the industry. So, folks, definitely reach out to
You.
Sarah, connect with her and the team at Phoenix Dental Agency, powered by Productive Dentist Academy. Dental Intelligence,
Yeah.
we've been partnered with them for a very long time,
Yeah.
basically since the beginning
Yeah.
of DI, if you didn't know that as a listener. So, we have a
Yeah.
ton of confidence in them, incredible folks over there. So, Sarah, once again, it's been great to have you. Listeners, thank you
Yeah. Thank you.
for sure. Listeners, thanks for joining
Thanks, everyone.
another episode of the Growth in Dentistry podcast. My name is Steve Jensen, your host. Talk soon and keep growing.